What's the story, Morning Glory? What's the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this hopefully very quick review of Unexpected Season 6, Episode 12, The Old Man and the C-Section. Y'all, let's get into Emily and Nate. First of all, I want to mention that I had seen on Reddit that Emily and Nate are married, that they got married after the filming of the show. I don't know exactly how much time went by between the filming of the show and them getting married, but I'm assuming Nate is 18 years old, or he was 18 when they got married. So, yeah, they're married. And if Emily is anything in real life, like the way she was on this show, if she is a scintilla in real life of what she was on this show, then I feel really bad for Nate. I feel sorry for Nate. But then again, maybe Nate is just that kind of guy that doesn't mind having a very domineering woman who tells him what to do and how to do it and gets upset when he doesn't act quick enough or doesn't do it right. Maybe he's comfortable with that. Maybe he's just one of those people that feels a lot better having somebody else control his life. I don't know. But to me, Emily was extremely controlling, and good luck, because if Nate ever develops a backbone, it's going to be a big problem in that marriage. So back to the episode, Emily says that she has moved back in with her dad. She didn't like living with Nate and his mother. Well, she didn't like living with his mother. And the problem was that Emily and Nate's mom are cut from the same cloth. They're both very dominant alpha type females, and neither one of them was going to back down. And Emily had to be the one to go because this was Nate's mother's house, and her rules. This is her reign. Yeah, Emily was going to lose that battle, so she had to be the one to move out. Both of them were talking about how the other one was too controlling over Nate. Emily complained about how his mother was interfering with how they were raising the baby. She talked about how his mother was really trying to control him. And I'm like, yeah, Emily, that's his mom. And he's still a minor. I know to you, you probably see him as a grown man. No, she doesn't even see him as a grown man, y'all. Because, yeah, she doesn't see him as a grown man. I don't know. Maybe she thought because she's the girlfriend and had the baby that Nate was just going to default to her. But no, the mom let her know exactly what time it was, that this is my house and this is my child. He is my son, and it's going to go my way. So Emily ended up moving back in with her dad. Now, Nate's mom said that there were times when Emily would walk right past her and not even acknowledge her. I don't know what Emily would say to that, what her version of the story would be to that. So Nate's mom said that she hasn't seen Emily or her grandson in about a month and a half. Nate said that he was really sad when Emily and the baby left, because he says those were the two most important people in his life and they were gone. Mom says that, okay, so Emily says, obviously, like I said before, that the mother was too controlling, that she controlled Nate too much, even though that was her own child and she had every right to control him. She's responsible for his well-being. She's responsible for every breath that he takes. Yeah, I don't think his mom was controlling enough, because if she was, there wouldn't have been a baby. So whatever control she has over Nate, I don't think it was enough. So Emily had to leave, because you can't have two alpha females trying to take control within the same household. It just wasn't going to work. Now, when the episode starts, or when their segment starts, it is Emily's graduation day. She's getting ready for graduation. Nate is doing his best to help her get ready. She is bossing him around like it's nobody's business. She's bossing him around. She's, being really snippy with him like she always is. She gets really frustrated with him, and he's just doing the best that he can. He has the patience of Job, this boy. The patience of Job. Because there were so many times, like if anybody would have talked to me the way Emily talks to Nate, there would have been a problem. There would have been no graduation. We would not have made it to the graduation, because we probably would have ended up in jail or something. Because she's just really condescending to him, very snippy with him, and he just takes it all in stride. Even Emily's father told Nate, man, I give much props to you for putting up with what you put up with my daughter. She is my daughter, but I know how she is. And the fact that you're able to put up with her and you've been with her as long as you have, I give you much props. Even her own father realizes that Emily is just doing the most when it comes to Nate. It's very disrespectful. She's so disrespectful to him. So Emily says that on top of her having to raise her own son, she feels like she has to raise Nate as well. But she married him. But she didn't marry him, allegedly. She married him. She says that she wants him to pull up his big boy panties. Not his big boy pants, but his big boy panties. So here she is emasculating him, where he has stepped up at the age of 16 years old, trying to take care of his child. I don't know. I don't know if he's working yet or not, but he is hands on with the baby. He probably, when she was living with him and his mother, Nate probably did the majority of taking care of the baby, him and his mom. I wouldn't be surprised. And then you're gonna emasculate him and say, "Oh, he needs to pull up his big boy panties." So, as we're pulling off to go to the graduation, Nate says something about how in his confessional he says that he's putting up with Emily, or he has stayed with Emily for as long as he has because of the fact that he just wants to be around his son. You know, it's starting. I don't know, y'all. He's alluding to, I'm only here for my child. Like, this is not my cup of tea. If it wasn't for the baby, I probably wouldn't be with her. I'm only here for my child. And something tells me that them getting married was probably all of Emily's idea, so she can have more control over him. I don't know what's going on with these two people, but I feel bad for Nate. From what I have seen on this show, I feel bad for Nate. I don't know what goes on behind closed doors or what goes on when the cameras are not there, but from the show, I feel bad for Nate. And like I said, if Emily's anything like the way she is on this show, let's pray for him, y'all. Let's just pray for him. Let's move on to Anaya and DeQuan. So I was very confused with the Anaya and DeQuan segment because Anaya shows up at her relative's house. I don't know if that was her uncle. She shows up at her uncle's house and she has the baby with her, and she wants her uncle to babysit because she has to go. She has an engagement. She has to go to a party. Um, she does this. What do they call this? She's like a social media influencer. She's got 47,000 followers on Instagram. People pay for her to show up at parties and take pictures and whatnot. So she had an engagement to show up at this party, and she shows up at her uncle's house expecting her uncle to babysit, and her uncle refused to babysit. So then she calls DeQuan, and DeQuan was like, well, I have plans. So then she turned that around to, well, he must not really care about his son if he'd rather do whatever the hell he's doing instead of coming here to babysit. Well, just like you had plans and you had no intentions of staying with the baby for the night, he had plans and he had no intentions of staying with the baby for the night. So, what I want to know is, she knew about this engagement because she acts like she's a businesswoman. I'm pretty sure these people just didn't call her up at the very last minute and be like, hey, can you show up to this party? I'm pretty sure this was discussed beforehand. She knew beforehand that on this particular night she had to, go fulfill this obligation at this party. So, like, why do you act like you're running around trying to find a babysitter at the last minute? I didn't understand why that was so, like, chaotic. So 45 minutes later, DeQuan shows up and he's willing to watch the baby. And so then they kind of get into it a little bit. Not really, because DeQuan doesn't argue. He seems like the kind of person who just doesn't argue. But DeQuan is not really happy with the career choices that Anaya has made as a social media influencer, where she takes a lot of provocative pictures, which you have to do if you want to gain a huge following. And, well, if you want to gain a huge following based on, I don't know, whatever's going on with that. So she takes out a provocative pictures. He doesn't like that. She shows up at these parties. People are dancing all up on her. She says that they're not, but he doesn't like that either. Just a whole thing of using her body to make money, using her body, using her prettiness to gain followers, to get these engagements or these jobs where she shows up and gets paid for her appearance and all of that. He just doesn't like that at all. So she was like, it's no big deal. I'm not doing anything with anybody. I'm not cheating on you. So then she says, well, if DeQuan has an issue with me and what I do, then maybe he should just stay and not go into the military so that he can keep a closer eye on me, or so that he can keep better tabs on me. That's quite manipulative. uh, yeah. You're still hooked up on him wanting to better himself and establish his career in the military. So you want the right to do whatever you want to do. He's got the right to do whatever he wants to do. If he wants to go in the military, let him go in the military. You don't want him, criticizing your job choice. Don't criticize his job choice. So I don't know what they're going to do there. It doesn't matter. Yes, I do. They ended up breaking up. So whatever's going on here really doesn't matter because they ended up breaking up with each other anyway. Moving on to Kaylee and Graham. So after 50 hours of being in labor and after having to have an emergency C-section, she finally gives birth to 8 pounds, 3 ounce Easton. That's the name of the baby. And the baby was born with bright red hair, absolutely adorable. And Graham was there. He was able to cut the cord, so that was good. He was able to experience that. Now, after she is discharged from the hospital, they're in the car, and she's sitting in the back with the baby. Her mother's driving, and Graham is sitting in the passenger seat. First of all, Graham didn't even want to go home with them. He wanted to go back to his own house, but they persuaded him to come home with her so that he can spend time with the baby right after the baby was born. And Graham was like, well, I have to go to school. That's why I wanted to go back to my own house. But whatever. So he's going to be going back home with them. Kaylee says something about how, she thought it was going to be, having a baby was going to be, fun and easy and cute. But she's realizing that it's anything but that. Real life has slapped her across the face real hard. Graham is kind of like, not really that involved. He's busy on his phone. He's busy sleeping. But the baby was just born. So I don't know if they're referring to when he was in the hospital with her for 50 long hours. He would get on his phone or he would sleep. The thing is, when it comes to teen pregnancy and teen parenting, I think it's remarkable when you have teen parents who are responsible and who are hands-on. I think that's absolutely remarkable, but I think that's the exception to the rule, especially when it comes to teen dads. I'm not giving them an excuse because you need to step up to the plate. You made an adult decision by having sex and getting a girl pregnant. Now you're a daddy. You have to act like one. But at the same time, it's always going to be the mother who's going to bear the majority of the responsibility because of the fact that she's carrying the baby and she's expecting her baby to stay with her. The teen parents are not married. They're not married. They're not living in their own house or their own apartment. They're living in two separate homes. So the teen dad's experience of parenting is going to be delayed. It's not going to be on because as soon as the teen mom is pregnant, I think for a lot of them, their mind is automatically on mommy mode. I'm a mother now. I'm carrying a child. I have to, change how I think. I have to change how I live. Like you're forced to be a mother before the child is even born. But as far as teen dads go, they're not experiencing that. Fatherhood hits them after the baby's born. And they need time to, I don't know, maybe they need time just to catch up to the whole idea of what it means to be a father, what it means to be a parent. Now, some of them are quick to jump right in and do what they need to do. And some of them aren't. I think the majority of them aren't because she was complaining about how Graham still wants to play video games and sleep and da 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 da. Yeah, Graham is 15. He's 15 years old. Should he step up to the plate? Of course, he should. And his mother needs to make sure that he does. His mother, his father, they need to make sure that he does. But if they're going to be very, nonchalant about it and allow him to do whatever, then Kayla, yeah, you're going to have a hard time. I just don't, I don't know why. I don't know. Maybe there should be, I don't know if there should or shouldn't be an expectation on teen fathers to all just like magically become fathers of the year. I don't know if there should be an expectation for that. Like I said, they don't live with the child. A lot of them don't. The child is expected to come home with the mother. Of course, if the child is coming home with the mother has to take care of it. So she has to grow up really, really quick. I don't know how many teen moms are like, after giving birth, okay, you take the baby. I'm going to go home and chill. You go ahead and you take the baby and I'll come by periodically. I don't know how often that happens. So if you're the one carrying the baby, your body, your mind is automatically geared to motherhood. Then you're going to have the baby and the baby is going to come home with you. So you have to take care of the baby. So you have to grow up really, really, really quick. And if The teen mom's mother and father are like, no, that boy is not going to come live here. Y'all are not going to live in this house together. He doesn't have that opportunity to really experience parenthood unless you have split custody. It's like, okay, I'll have the child half the time, then you come and take the child half the time. Maybe if it's done that way, it will force the teen father to be more responsible and to be more hands on. Moving on to boring Lily and Lawrence. Okay, so there were no strippers at Lawrence's bachelor party because him and Lily had talked about it and they both promised each other no strippers. But at Lily's bachelorette party, there was a stripper. And so she wasn't down with that at all. She didn't want a stripper. She wasn't interested in the stripper at all. She claimed that the stripper wasn't even her type, which makes me wonder if the stripper was her type. Would she have, participated in the activities? I don't know. But the whole entire time, because the stripper, they were on the party bus, and the stripper was on the party bus with them. And he stripped down, and the whole time she was running away from him. She was like cowering in a corner. She didn't want to be anywhere near the stripper. Anytime the stripper came anywhere near her, she would run in the opposite direction. So the whole entire time the stripper was there, Lily was running away from him. Did not want to participate, did not want to indulge in any shape or form with the stripper. So she was upset because I think it was her sister that hired the stripper. And she was upset because she was like, oh my God, once Lawrence finds out, he's going to be so mad at me. So she texts Lawrence and says, I got locked on a bus with a stripper, which sounds like one of my hood romance books. But she texts him, I got locked on a bus with a stripper, and trying to let him know that this is against my will. I did not give my stamp of approval on this. I did not want this at all. Well, it really didn't matter because when she came home, Lawrence was on one. He was really pissed off. His whole mood had changed. He was trying to kick everybody out the house. He said there's not going to be any wedding because he was mad at her for having a stripper. In their little confessional, she says to him, well, I don't know why you're upset with me because it was out of my control. I didn't have anything to do with that. It was my sister or whoever that arranged everything. And I had told everybody that I didn't want a stripper, and they still got a stripper. It was out of my control. And he was like, well, if it was me, if I had a stripper at my bachelor party, you'd be upset. And she's like, no, I wouldn't. I would not have been upset if it was out of your control. If you had nothing to do with it, I would not be upset with you. So they go back and forth with that. And I think that it was kind of foul for her sister to do that. Knowing, I'm pretty sure Lily had told the sister, or the sister already knew how Lawrence got down, and that he was not going to be happy about that, and that it was not going to be good for Lily. So it was kind of foul that they did that because his friends respected the fact that he couldn't have a stripper. I don't know why her sister insisted on it. So yeah, I felt kind of bad for Lily that he was so out of pocket for getting mad at her though. He should not have gotten mad at her. She had nothing to do with that. She didn't even like the damn stripper. So I don't understand what got him so upset. Unless he was just upset that, you know, she had a stripper and he didn't. Thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. On your way out, please don't forget to rate the video if you like this content, subscribe to my channel, and I'll definitely talk to you later. Bye.